Hi there, so this is part 2 of the video showing how you can use Claude to help create a skill for preparing an appellate brief and then actually go through the execution of it. So let's go ahead now and look at it in Word. I've moved over to Word. I have the Claude add-on, which you can see up here in the corner. Right now the Claude add-on for Word is only available to Teams and Enterprise. I expect it to be rolled out to other sites very soon. So let's take a look at what it can do. First of all, let's just go ahead and scroll through this brief and see what it looks like. So it put in a table of contents and a table of authorities. I don't know if the pagination is accurate, and of course I don't know if the cases are accurate. The formatting looks good. I can ask it over here it's given me some skills here, but let's see if it can access our appellate skill, okay? And do a check of this brief against this appellate guidelines that we had. So we have an appellate skill for New York appellate briefs. So it's pointed out some rather granular inconsistencies and very important ones too. It says that the cover of the brief says Court of Appeals, and it is being appealed. This is an appeal from the Appellate Division order up to the Court of Appeals, and so it's styled as that, and it says that's consistent, but it says that the skill reference covers the Appellate Division, so it has to note that this is New York Court of Appeals. So when we developed the skill, it was only for the Appellate Division, and that was something that I guess I didn't specify when we were putting the skill together. And like I said, when we put the skill together, we were just doing it on the fly. Obviously, as an experienced attorney, you would know exactly what type of court you would want to put in. And that's why it's also important to have control of these skills and develop them yourself as opposed to getting them from somewhere else, because the other person might not have a good understanding of what practice area you're in. So that's the beauty of skills, is you can tailor them as you wish, just again doing it on the fly in a practice area for a subject matter area that I don't understand or don't have experience with. Now, having said that, Claude did recognize the problem, and it claims or purports to have gone to the Court of Appeals rules to get the word limit and to change that. So I'm going to, first of all, what I want to do is make sure that it conforms to the Court of Appeals rules. And then it's also, okay, it says that's one of the biggest issues, so we're going to have it correct that. Let's see what else it came up with. It says that there are some issues with the table of contents and table of authorities. This doesn't surprise me. Those are notoriously complicated to do. That's why I continue to rely on ClearBrief to do my table of contents and table of authorities. I didn't even know it's something that Claude would have attempted. And then there's some blue booking issues that it's going through. So let me see what it can do for us next. Let's see what it proposes. I'm going to ask it to make sure this brief complies with the rules for the New York Court of Appeals. That's the most important. So make whatever changes you need, and please use the track changes when you make the changes. So let's have it do that. And just for a point of reference, here's the different changes that it's going through over here and making those edits. One of the things I also noticed is that for the Court of Appeals, it needs to have a statement of jurisdiction. So let's see if it inserts that, and we can also ask it to refer to mid-page if it needs assistance with research. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at these documents, the document, and see what was changed. Let me just go up through this. Okay, so a lot of things here were changed in the table of authorities, and let's just go down and see in the document if the table of authorities was something, if the pagination matches up. So they've got this Curtin versus Western Union Telegraph. And by the way, I just did confirm that these cases were all pulled off of mid-page, and I checked the citation. So I just wanted to clarify that. So let's go take a look. We'll go do a find and go to those pages. As we go through, here's another citation that was corrected. There's a correction here, and it has the standard of review. Let's continue down. We're just going to page 27 to see if it's got the, okay, we also want to change up those headers. They shouldn't be double spaced, they should be single spaced. Let's just continue on down to our page. Sorry about this. Okay, so we see that the table of authorities doesn't match up because the brief ends at page 25 and it's saying that there's pages on page 26 and 27. So let me ask it to do some more corrections. Okay, so it didn't put in the jurisdictional statement, but here it gave this, it said this is where it's required. So I'm going to apply, and that means they're going to go ahead and put the jurisdictional statement in. So let's go back up and find to just confirm that the jurisdictional statement was put in. And it should be at the beginning of the brief. Let's see where it is. Probably should be around here is my guess. Maybe it's up right at the front. There it is. It added the jurisdictional statement. So now what we're going to do is ask it to make some other changes. So let's see. The headings should be single spaced, not double spaced. So can you fix the headings, both the all caps Roman numeral headings and also the Arabic headings so that they're single spaced? Let's see if it will make that correction. And then I'll also tell it about the error in the table of authorities and table of contents. Okay, it says this is a formatting change. Track changes is on, so this will end as tracked formatting. So let's see if it does that. And just going through quickly, it looks like it has made those changes. This is now single space. The formatting still leaves much to be desired. I can ask it to justify those margins. Let's see if it will do that. The margins on the Arabic letters are crooked, and you need to have a double space between the heading and the body. So are you able to justify them so that they're indented and even as opposed to one coming out under the other? Very awkward direction. Let's see what it does. Okay, let's continue through. It looks like it did make the formatting change here, so that's pretty bomb that it actually got that part done. I noticed some spacing issues here between the paragraphs. Let me see if it can do something about that. I noticed that sometimes between paragraphs you seem to have an extra line. Can you make sure that everything is uniformly double spaced? And also, can you get rid of the page breaks between the different points? Or unless the rules require page breaks, check the rules and see if the page breaks are required, and if not, let's get rid of them. Just looking at this other stuff. See what kind of corrections it makes. Okay, and so I see it has asked me if it wants to, oh, my mouse is not working now. Oh wait, I've got it upside down. Wait, hold up. Gotta edit this out. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna allow it once to go ahead and do that. And it's going to go ahead and make those changes. I hope. Yes, it removed the page break, and so now we just have the point going right through. Let's go down. It continues to do it. It cleaned up the spacing on the paragraphs, I think, so that's working properly. So the formatting has improved. Now here it's got something here. Very conclusion, it was charged to decide. Okay, it left me a note here. Okay, so this is something, it wasn't sure if we had preserved an issue or not, and so it left a note here. That's something they want us to verify manually. I would have to go back and look at the appellate record and see if we preserved the argument, and that's something I'll do in a third video. We'll go through the preservation. I'll bring up those documents and have Claude look at that. So I'll just take a quick look at this, and then we'll move on to Module 3, and we'll check out that preservation issue and look at the trial transcript that we have and see if it can tell if Claude still seems to have some information for us. It's just going through some of the changes it made. Okay, so the changes are tracked. We can go ahead and accept all the changes. So let's see if it can go through, and if I tell it to accept changes. Claude, I've reviewed the changes. Can you accept all of them? Let's see if it will do that.